Welcome back to Blind Man Morris. And if you've ever wondered why your oil goes black and is it a bad thing? Well, the answer is it's not a bad thing because the oil going black means that it's cleaning your engine and it's suspending all the dirt in the oil from the combustion process. So in old A series engines, it collects all the dust from blow-by. Blow-by is the small amount of exhaust gases passing past the cylinder rings into the engine block. And the engine oil then picks up all those small particles of metal and carbon and holds them in suspension in the oil until it gets passed through the old oil filter. Now with a Morris, compared to new cars, it hasn't got a pressurised oil filter system, so it takes quite a long while for the oil to go from the engine, out of the engine, through the oil filter, back into the engine again. So that's why you use a heavy mineral oil to catch all the dirt and grime, and that's why your engine's black. So what do the numbers stand for? 20, W, 50. So the W, I always thought standard for weight, doesn't, actually stands for winter. So the 20 is a number calculated to show you the viscosity of the oil when the engine's cold. So the smaller the number, the thinner the oil. So 20 at cold start, thin. 50 when the engine's at operating temperature, which is around 100 degrees C, means the oil gets thicker, coats the metal working surfaces and leaves a fine residue on them when the oil and the engine has stopped working. So on a cold start up again, there's a thin layer of oil on all the bearings and metal surfaces when the engine starts, but that is only in the better oils. So like Castrol, Duckham's, Miller's, and all those branded oils. All the budget oils don't have the detergents, the antioxidants,
the zinc,
zinc, of course. They're heavy
anti-corrosion
agents,
yep.
Which are all this. Each manufacturer has its own recipe of what it puts into its oil to make it better for the car. So it's personal preference, but budget oils don't tend to do the same job as the more expensive oils. When the engine stops, the oil drops all off the metal surfaces and drops back into the sump. All it does is lubricate. It doesn't coat and protect. Whereas the more expensive oils, Castrol and so on, tend to do a better job by coating the surfaces and leaving a residue on the surfaces and a layer of zinc to protect all your bearings and tappets and everything. And I'm going to pass over to Amber and she's going to talk about SAE, where you can look at me.
So SAE stands for, go on, John.
The Society of Automotive Engineers.
And isn't that amazing? How many bottles have you seen with SAE written on them?
I actually didn't.
Loads of them.
I don't know. I've been doing this 40 odd years now, and us two together for 30 years, and neither of us knew that it stood for the Society of Automotive Engineers.
Isn't that amazing?
And they had these dirty old lab technicians in their white coats with a little test tube, and they're putting different substances in there and measuring them. Their viscosity.
So what they have is, apparently, they have a little capillary tube, a little test tube, and they pour different substances, oils, etc., into the tube, and they have measuring points, and they see how quickly the fluid falls under the influence of gravity, and that gives them a number, a centistokes number. And so apparently water at 20 degrees is 1 centistoke, and apparently 2050 engine oil is about 16 to 20 centistokes, most of them around 18 to 19 centistokes. And then you get to something like molasses syrup, which is apparently 100.
Yeah.
So it just gives you an idea of how it's all calculated. Isn't that amazing? So they calculate the viscosity of the oil, and that gives some sense as to why it makes a difference as to if you went to a petrol station and got 5W30, whereas we use 20W50 in ours, because they are older engines and built an entirely different way, aren't they, to a modern engine?
Yeah, they're not as precise engineering calculations on the bearings and everything. They're much looser. So they need oil around them, which is thicker when they're running at normal operating temperature.
But the 20 and the 20W and the 50 are actually measuring sort of different things. So the 20W is the viscosity of the oil at cold, whereas the 50 is the viscosity of the oil at 100 degrees at working temperature. Yeah. So that doesn't mean necessarily that oil gets thinner. It just means that those calculations done at under those particular operating conditions, that's the viscosity at that point in time.
It's a guess. They don't really know. No,
They do know.
They do know. So does it matter what sort of oil you use in your car? Short answer is yes, it does. Especially if you've got an oldish engine, actually. You don't want to think, oh, it's an old engine, I'll chuck budget oil in it. Don't. If you use a good oil, the engine will last longer because it will help protect all the surfaces, and that's the main thing. It's metal on metal weather that you need good oil. We use Castrol mainly if we can get hold of it. If not, Duckham's. Either of those two. You can use what you want really, but avoid the budget oils. All they'll do is lubricate. They won't actually protect the engine.
And if you're going to buy an oil, you can actually look and see what they've got in it, and you expect them to have detergents, anti-corrosion ingredients, zinc in there if you can get it, and you also expect them to be around that sort of 18 to 20 centre Stokes measurement point, really. And some of them do tell you that, but the main thing is it's got the other additives on top of being a proper classic 2050 oil.
Which is what you need to feed your old A-series Morris in your engine.
I hope other people find that as fascinating as I did, because I like things like that.
Yeah, you do. You're weird. Yeah.
And now you've got to put the dipstick back in.
I have, yeah, which takes me.
Should we watch you do that?
No. 1, 2, under 3, go down. I'll get there, you know. Where is it?
It's just the downside to this video, because then John had to find
No,
the hole for the dipstick. Have you?
Yeah. That's quite quick for me.
There you go. Look.
There you go. Look.
There you go. So get decent oil.
Yes. Oh, and if you're going to flush your engine, actually thinking about it, if you want to clean your engine block because you think actually this is getting really manky, you can get an oil with more detergent in it and run it for 1,000 miles and then drop that oil out and then go back to your normal oil, and that can help clean your engine block and make it run more efficiently. Depending on the age of the oil and how much oil you put in normally. If you've got a lot of oil usage, that just shows you've got a large amount of wear on your engine. It may be time to think about doing a rebuild or getting a new engine.
So here's the Society of Automotive Engineers. So if we didn't have them, we wouldn't know what oil to put in the car.
Yeah, we just chuck any old rubbish in there, don't we? That's what we used to do.
There you go.
And there you go.